when you look at the business, you see since March, then the business is rising up, the demand is rising up, the geopolitics are growing and putting some stress. Now, the last event with the tariff in US on the electric car is putting a new stress on the ocean. What does it mean? It means that basically all shipping companies have decided to move as possible the containers on this Trans-Pacific to move the electrical car, which means that on air now, right now, we are in June and we are already entered in the peak season. Today, more than yesterday, the dynamic pricing is needed from the forwarder side. We did not discuss that 4 months ago. I was still on the forwarding side. And I can tell you the forwarding side is very interested to make sure they are the most dynamic price according to the market. Because the market is very fluctuable and you need to make sure that you are keeping control on your pricing versus what you are selling to your customer. The connection with the forwarder as an airline is very important for me.
Hello and welcome to Conversation Series. And this Conversation Series, we are bringing you from Shanghai, where we are at the Air Cargo China Exhibition and Conference. With me in conversation today is Stanislas Brun. He is the VP for Cargo at Etihad Airways. Stan.
Good morning, Reji. Thank you.
You took charge in early March this year.
Yes, 4 months already.
4 months into the job. What was the brief to you when you picked up the job?
Etihad has been always a very interesting company worldwide. The perception, the image, the value of the company, it's great toward the customer. To be able to onboard such a company for me was quite a privilege, and it's a privilege. After this different event in the last years between the COVID and the after COVID, it was definitely requested to have a focus on the cargo and bring new products and new development and new sales. And this is what I've been requested to do. So, but it was a great organization and a central organization that I found. And now we are working on refining the organization.
When you look at your role, what would be some of your key priorities for Etihad Cargo in the mid to long term?
What is important, the actual situation, is to continue to focus on the customer. It could be, when you look at the global trade, is definitely moved out of Asia to Europe, Asia to US. We are at the right place, being in the Middle East and being in Abu Dhabi with Etihad. But despite that, we need to keep the relation with the customer to continue to feel the pulse in this dynamic market. The situation is changing very fast. If you look at last year at the same period, which was June, and it was a down market, it was after COVID, everybody was depressed, there was no flow and no pressure in the demand. And suddenly in October, the e-commerce made the worldwide turn differently again. And the beginning of the year was again slow. And suddenly, yes, in March, we see overall the situation ramping up and the capacity needed. And right, with the different geopolitics issue plus the development of the e-commerce, we again are at the right place to be able to capture most interesting flow of this business.
Stan, you think the peak season has advanced, it has come much earlier than the peak season?
It's like the weather. I don't know if there is any more season. We are now under the rain since yesterday in Shanghai. You see Europe was very cold for the first part, now very warm. The same. When you look at the business, you see since March, then the business is rising up, the demand is rising up, the geopolitics are growing and putting some stress. Now, the last event with the tariff in US on the electric car is putting a new stress on the ocean. What does it mean? It means that basically all shipping companies have decided to move as possible the containers on this Trans-Pacific to move the electrical car, which means that on air now, right now, we are in June and we are already entered in the peak season, yes.
You feel that there is a capacity crunch coming in already, and that's going to be even worse as we run up to the end of the year?
Today, it's obvious that there is not enough capacity for the demand. The main issue is the unbalance of the capacity. The main of the capacity is requested out of this region, being Vietnam, being China, being Hong Kong, to the world. On the return is definitely lower volume, but in meantime, there is not enough aircraft and all the aircraft are super utilized. So the moment you have some C-check, etc., you see already some additional demand for new capacity, because in between the AI chip, which will go out after summer on the different device, plus the e-commerce, yes, there is a capacity crunch, and yes, we are in the peak season.
So where do you see demand really rapidly growing? One is certainly e-commerce. Second is probably electronic goods and semiconductor.
Yes, I think.
So I want you to reflect on both in terms of demand coming from different sectors, and where is the region where you have the rapid growth of the demand?
There is a third element which is important, we did not mention, is the perishable. We see the perishable is moving again quite a lot, being in terms of food or being in terms of flowers. The demand is there. So, and this is the third element, because when you see the movement of the capacity worldwide, I mean, it's interesting, since 2019, the relation is not necessarily impacting us in Asia or in Middle East, but the relation between North and South America has improved a lot in terms of capacity. It's plus 34%. It's huge. And you see at the same time that South America export to the world has decreased. They're also bringing some instability. What does it mean for us in market which is growing? Yes, we see, of course, and we are well positioned with our capacity in Asia. We see the demand growing. We are growing ourselves in passenger in different destinations. We are now double daily in Xi'an, for instance, and we are growing our capacity toward Europe. And we are also ready to onboard new fighter in the future. So all that allow us to trust in our development and in the future for Etihad Cargo.
I'm sure Asia is one of the biggest region, or the Far East is one of the biggest region in terms of your market. You've been expanding your freighter network also to Europe, and I believe your capacity on the belly from China and to China is on the rise. Have you got back to the pre-COVID levels?
We did not go back to the pre-COVID level. What has changed is the way we are distributing our capacity in terms of freighter. For instance, we just introduced our double weekly Madrid, Abu Dhabi-Madrid in a freighter. And this capacity is there to support indeed e-commerce development. How we got this capacity is basically we have decided, looking at the transatlantic flow, then it was more interesting and more needed to have capacity in between Abu Dhabi and Europe than Abu Dhabi and North America in freighter as today, because outside of America right now you see that overall the turnout is lower. But one continent we did not mention, and a subcontinent we did not mention, is India. As you know, I was in India in the past, and you know very well India, of course. In India is also a place where the market has improved and increased quite a lot due to the crunch of capacity, also linked with the Red Sea and the event in the Red Sea. We see also India demand and India capacity, which are limited and which allow us also to benefit for this uprise of demand to grow there. We are looking also to add some capacity probably soon on freighter to India.
You know, something that we have noticed over the last few years is geopolitics playing its problems and creating issues on the sea freight. You have seen like the crisis in Red Sea has given an opportunity for air cargo to really come up with solutions, sea air product, air sea products. Do you see that going ahead, you are well positioned to take advantage of that cargo probably coming at a last moment for Etihad freighters?
We are positioned Abu Dhabi. I mean, right now with Abu Dhabi port, we are growing also free trade zone to be able also to connect like it's done with our cousin city, and basically to grow this specific demand. On the same side, we see also the connection with the narrow and medium-sized freighter out of Indian subcontinent toward UAE growing. And this also we are working on that, not necessarily with our own capacity, but with other capacity and with connection. Interline is also a very strong priority for us. We have upcoming additional capacity on transatlantic thanks to the interline relation we are having. And we are also doing, I signed yesterday with Teleport, a new contract where they are operating for us 2 freighters to be able to feed one of our points, which is Phuket. We are definitely interested to any capacity which is allowing us to optimize the capacity we have on hand, which is through the narrow body and of course through the freighters.
Now, let's talk about your products. You mentioned about India's known for pharmaceutical products. Air cargo is a significant mode of transport for pharmaceutical products. Mentioned about perishables. What will be some of the other focus areas for you, and where do you want to really up your game in terms of a product specialist?
As today, of course, you mentioned pharma, and pharma remain one of our top priority. We just onboard new dollies in Abu Dhabi, in the new airport, to make sure that the pallets of pharmaceutical goods and perishable at transit and during transit were protected from the heat. But also perishable remain one of our specialty and our priority. We have a perishable and food corridor through Abu Dhabi. I was also for pharma, and I just want to mention, I was in San Diego to seeing with the Department of Health a new MOU based on having Abu Dhabi as a pharma center and a vaccination center for the region, and the wide region, Africa included. In all that, initiatives are done to make sure that Abu Dhabi is growing and more developing. On the top of this strategy, right now, when you look at the electrical world we are living in, lithium is definitely a place where we are putting a lot of focus. For instance, we have a product called SecureTech to move the device with the lithium inside, but also we are working right now to develop a specific product for dangerous goods for the lithium outside of the device, to make sure that in the future, following all the incidents we can see everywhere, we have the right product with the right safety to carry this kind of product.
Let's talk about your digital strategy, digital transformation to provide customers easy access to your booking platform. You're creating API connections with your forwarding customers, some of the recent announcement. Where do you see your digital strategy becoming a key enabler of your business?
Today, more than yesterday, the dynamic pricing is needed from the forwarder side. We did not discuss that 4 months ago. I was still on the forwarding side. And I can tell you the forwarding side is very interested to make sure they are the most dynamic price according to the market. Because the market is very fluctuable, and you need to make sure that you are keeping control on your pricing versus what you are selling to your customer. The connection with the forwarder as an airline is very important for me. What does it mean? It means we just announced indeed a connection direct in the API in between Etihad and Kuehne+Nagel to make sure that we are sharing with them in permanently dynamic pricing, but also track and trace and all the different products we have in our platform, Etihad Cargo. And this we want to continue to develop with the top of our customer, this kind of relation. As today, we don't share necessarily our dynamic pricing through other platform, other than our platform or connection with the customer. And that's why we are pushing to this direct connection.
You have announced also the new summer schedule, and I think there's a lot of belly capacity coming as summer kicks in. How do you see that for you in terms of really taking advantage of that belly capacity coming on board?
There is two types of capacity we are inserting. There is indeed the very summer and with narrow body to, for instance, the Greek island, where I'm not sure we'll do a lot of things in terms of cargo. And there is other capacity we just introduced to destination holidays like Bali, where we'll make, again, some interline to make sure the region is able to connect with our network. On the side of that, we have other destinations like Nice, where we are making sure, south of France, where we are making sure to connect, or Malaga in Spain, where we are allowing the perishable producer, and I was in Spain myself 10 days ago, to make sure that the perishable producer have access of this to this capacity to make sure they are reaching the world. It's important for them because looking at where the plane is positioned in terms of timing, it allows them to deliver in the morning and to make sure their goods is flying in the same day and connecting in the same day and arriving the next day, which is very important in terms of perishable.
Stan, I want to end the conversation with your thoughts on your current fleet, and you've ordered the new freighters. You've always seen that inordinate delay in the freighters coming on board. How many more freighters do you need?
That's always a good question. When we are talking here, with our customer, everybody is asking us, can we get more capacity? And the answer we give them is yes. Of course, we would like also more capacity. If you can find some, let us know. So yes, we are looking for more capacity, but the capacity is something, right now we are quite successful on our implementation because we have a long-term strategy. We need to continue to have a long-term strategy. For instance, as you know, we have a partnership with SF in China, which is quite important, and we are in China, which allows us also through this strategy to have a connection with our partner and making sure that we are not left alone even if the market is returning. And we need to continue to develop this kind of partnership in the near future to make sure that we have access to more capacity. Like I said, interline is one, two is partnership, and after, you never know, you can find a freighter around the corner. We are always working on that.
Stan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate this conversation with you.
Thank you very much to you, Reji.